Like students, this is Professor Rubenstein again, talk to you this week about Unit 7. You're already on Unit 7. Unit 7 is chapters 11 and 12 in your free textbook. They cover personality and social psychology. So this week, you will have to take your self-tests for this unit, rather. You have to take the Unit 7 self-test. You also have to do the Unit 7 discussion posts. Which means, this is a reminder, you have to upload 2 posts, not just one, and each one of those posts has to be at least 250 words long. Please remember that so I can give you full credit for doing that. What you see on your screen here is called the Big 5 personality test, and this is what you're going to be required to take so that you can write the discussion post. It's based on your response to this personality test. This is also one of the 20 self-tests you're going to need to take, and it will be crucial for you when you write your self-discovery project. So make sure you do this first thing. The only other thing you'll have to do this week, of course, is the Unit 7 exam. So take a look at this. This is some of the questions. There are a total of how many? 61 questions you have to answer, but they're all agree to disagree. They're very simple. You have to give some simple demographic information about yourself. And then this test will actually score you and tell you how you score on each of the 5 aspects of personality, which are the Big 5. I don't want to give it away, but the way to remember it is either ocean or canoe. And those are mnemonic devices for remembering those 5 traits. So you should be reading about this in chapter 11. Some of the other things you need to know, basically personality is referring to what makes you you. Why are you the way you are, and what is the way you are? This test, by the way, is not judging you. It's not saying you're a good person or a bad person. It's just describing you. And that's what all personality tests do, whether they're projective tests or objective tests like this one that can be scored by a computer. Some of the other things you need to know: theorists. So personality theorists, men and women who came up with theories about personality. Of course, the first one was Sigmund Freud. You need to learn a lot about him this week, about defense mechanisms, for example, and projective tests, which are based on his theory. B.F. Skinner is sort of the opposite extreme. He said pretty much behavior, the only thing that matters is behavior, not what's inside you, that you have no unconscious desires. And so you should be reading about B.F. Skinner, Carl Jung, Alfred Bandura, Julian Roeder, who talked about locus of control, whether you feel you control things that happen to you or you feel it's just random, that the universe is in charge and you have no control over what happens. Alfred Adler is another theorist that you will need to know about. There's the famous marshmallow test, which was done first on children to see if they could not wait for a reward. So they would take a small reward now instead of a big reward later. And it told some very interesting things about their personality. So all of these things you will need to know before you take your Unit 7 test. So just make sure you read the chapter very carefully. The next chapter is chapter 12, and that's about social psychology. Social psychology is basically talking about how we fit into our world and how situations influence us. So one of the major theories about social psychology is called fundamental attribution error, and that just means our tendency to think that people do things the way they do because of their personality rather than the situation they're in. So, and very often that's not true. People do things based on the situation. So, and they do things based on their social roles. So you may be, if you're a daughter or a son, you're very different with your parents than you would be with your friends or with in a classroom with your with fellow students. So social psychology really emphasizes the importance of the situation on how we feel and how we behave. So there are some other things you need to know about self-serving bias, the importance of social roles, the foot in the door phenomenon. If you get people to do a little favor first, they're more likely to be willing to do a big favor for you later. There are social psychologists have studied very carefully the ways that we can reduce prejudice. So you can reduce prejudice by getting people to cooperate on a task. So, for example, this is just an extreme example. If the whole world was being attacked by aliens, presumably, since we had a common threat, we would all need to cooperate together on the planet to fend off that challenge. And that works in very small ways too. So you can just get two groups of teenagers who don't get along, and you can get them to do a cooperative project, and it should reduce prejudice in between those two groups. Stereotypes, you need to know about stereotypes for this exam. You need to know about diffusion of responsibility. You need to know about pro-social behavior, which is also known as altruism, doing things just to help other people for no possible reward. So as I say all of these concepts, you should be thinking in your mind, she's mentioning this because it's probably going to be on the exam. And if you do that, you're absolutely right. I'm mentioning them because they are probably on the exam. So I wish you luck this week. You are in this unit, you are the next to the last unit. There are only 8 units in this class, and you are now on unit 7. So congratulations. There's only one more to go. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I will see you next time for week 8. Bye-bye.